Hello and Assalamu alaikum. Welcome back to another episode of DSG Talks. I'm Aman Faz Khan and I welcome you all to another episode of DSG Talks. I hope you all are doing good, enjoying the weather in Pakistan. So today, as of the topic, we're talking about GlobalEd and Industry Academia Linkage between Pakistan. And you know that in DSG Talk, we have always emphasized on how there's an importance of industry academia linkage, how we need to find more areas of research. And today I want to highlight a very important topic of how Pakistan has brilliant talent and has exported so many individuals to all around the world, and there's so many people, so much talent in Pakistan. So today I have myself a very talented personality, Dr. Hassan Tahir Abbas, who is an instructor at University of Glasgow as well as a global researcher. He has done his electrical engineering from UET in Pakistan and later moved abroad to complete his PhD and later be an instructor and researcher. So today we'll talk about how we are looking at the global education and how there needs to be an industry academia linkage to bridge this gap to make a better vision of the world. So without any delay, I'll hop into the topic. So hello sir, how are you?
I'm good, thank you very much, and thanks for the nice introduction.
Thank you so much for being here today. It's a pleasure to have you.
Same as mine.
So I was just telling about the people that how you were born and raised in Pakistan, you did your engineering from here and later moved on abroad and now you're an instructor. So tell people watching a little bit about yourself.
Yeah, so I'll start my life journey description back from Multan, where I grew up. It was a lovely small town back then. Now it's grown quite a big into city. Had a lovely childhood with my family, close friends, very nice school, regarded at that time as the best in place in Multan. Until about my college days, I spent my time in Multan, and then for my undergraduate education, I moved to UET Lahore for electrical engineering. So that was kind of my first experience of living away from home.
Mm-hmm.
And surprisingly, that kind of kick-started my whole life away from home. So I've been traveling since then, moving places. Yeah.
Once you get out of home, there's no going back.
But you always have those roots and affiliations and close friendships. So I'm blessed to have friends that I had from my childhood that we're still in touch, and whenever I come back, so we kind of reminisce the old times and still have lovely memories.
Wonderful. So before we move into the topic, how you're liking back in Pakistan?
When you are away, and especially whatever you read from the news articles, so it gives you an impression that everything is doom and gloom.
Mm-hmm.
But honestly, I've come back after a gap of 4 years, and especially this time, what I've found fascinating was I've traveled up and down the country this time as much as I can, and everywhere I sense opportunity. Mashallah, we have a blessed land in terms of agriculture.
Yeah.
We have a huge population in terms of youth, and I see so many brilliant things happening. Your program, it's one example where youth is leading the way. So I'm just kind of hopeful that future and even the new future is going to be amazing for Pakistan.
Exactly. There's always an option of to look at the brighter side of the picture, considering whatever the ambiguities out there, whatever the conditions, there's always a way to look at the bright side. So what I understand from your profile is that you have studied here in Pakistan as well, and now you're teaching abroad as well.
Yeah.
So I'd like to ask from like a student perspective as well, that what is the disparity that you have seen? What is the difference between our education system and theirs? What is Pakistan, how it is lagging behind, what can be done? So if we can have overall of that.
Yeah, thanks for the great question, and I mean, as part of my exposure, so going abroad for studies and then now working in a university, what I feel that at least at the university level, we are even in terms of let's say the kind of education that we instill, but the huge disparity unfortunately lies at the grassroots. That's the primary school and the secondary school system. So over here, I'm myself part of that system, but when I see myself or compare myself to my colleagues that have come from other parts of the world, so what I see lacking in myself is some sort of creativity, and I think that's kind of the downside or a negative aspect of our education system, that we kind of discourage creativity. We tend to have an assembly line kind of model for our education, which may work for some instances, but when it comes for creativity and maybe inventing something new, then our system kind of really suffers.
Yeah. So since you also have an electrical engineering background, and we, considering being an EPC company, we also have a number of engineers here. So do you think that this is true, that in our education system it's more of theory and less of practical, and when people get out of their universities and go to the practical field, so they get a lot of trouble, like you have studied something, you're putting into use something else? So do you think that this doesn't exist overseas and it's only a Pakistan thing? Yeah, it's overall that's how the education has shaped up now.
I think it's partly true that we get to focus more on theory, but I mean, it's kind of the mindset, and especially it has to do with the linkage with the industry as well. That I mean, if I talk about my university, so there is some pioneering research that ends up commercialized into products that we use in our daily lives. But that whole cycle involves a lot of input from other institutions such as the government. It needs a lot of funding as well. So unfortunately we don't have those kind of resources. But even I would still like to point out that given what we have, we are still punching above our weight, and that's what you see, that whenever Pakistanis go abroad, they mostly excel. So that's kind of an indication that at least at the university level, whatever we are taught or the way we taught, that's still exceptionally good. It's just that there is some sort of lack from support from external entities.
Great. It's great that you mentioned yourself as well, that there are lots and lots of Pakistanis who, when they go abroad, they excel, their lifestyle changes. So generally now it's a concept in Pakistan कि बाहर चले जाओ तो आपकी लाइफ चेंज हो जाएगी. हर किसी से जिससे भी आप करंटली यूथ में पूछो तो they are like बस बाहर जाना है, हमें पाकिस्तान से बाहर जाना है. It's sad to see that there's so much potential in this country. There's so many educated people, and the only goal is to just get out of the country. So how much, out of your personal perspective, do you think it is easier? Is it true that the moment you step into another country your life changes, or there's a hard work there as well, and that can be done here in Pakistan too?
I'll share my own example. I've been to 3 countries since I moved out of Pakistan, and every time I started my life in a new country, I had to start from zero. And zero means that you have to build your profile. You have to find the right people around you for making things work. And eventually, to let's say, if I compare myself to someone who has been living in that country for some time, I may have to put 3 or 4 times more effort just to be at parity in terms of performance or output. And that's kind of the reality that we have to face, that although we think that if we go abroad, then life will be rosy right away. But from my experience, and I've seen colleagues who have the same journey as mine.
Yeah.
So we have to put in and do 3 or 4 times hard yards just to be at parity with others.
Exactly. So do you think that discrimination of coming from a third world country, it exists out there, or is it just a myth?
I would say, at least in my profession, it's a myth because in academia, so in my university, we will have staff from every corner of the world, and the diversity that kind of drives creativity. So it's kind of a fostering ground that you have different ideas, different perspectives, and even if, let's say, if someone's coming from a background that is not privileged, their thoughts, their ideas are given the same amount of weight as anyone else. So I think that's probably it may happen somewhere else, but at least in my experience, and I've lived in 3 countries, I've not seen, or I've not personally experienced that.
That's a relief to hear that the world is finally shaping up in the way that there's no kind of that the people are now finally vocal about that. So talking about university experience, like you are in the esteemed University of Glasgow, it's one of its kind in Scotland. So generally, I've seen some good examples in my life as well, and there's general this concept as well. If you're in like a country like Pakistan, so you should definitely go out for a master's or a bachelor's to get the global education exposure, to have something on hand. So how important do you think that is, and does it really make a difference to an individual's personality as a professional?
I would say absolutely yes. So even if somebody has any opportunity, just the exposure of getting to know how other people work, their professional work ethic, their professional environment, I think it's only gonna serve you good in the long term. So I think any exposure, so even if it's short term or long term, it's gonna help you out, not just you, but people around you. So because for example, in my case, I work at University of Glasgow. It's currently ranked 76th in the whole world. So what I see, people around me, so they're exceptionally talented. And just to be, in that environment,
affects the personality.
It affects your personality as well. It creates kind of that motivation and drive amongst you that, okay, you have to be the best in what you do. So I think that mentality, it's really important, whatever you do, and I think if you can learn that trick by being here, that's absolutely fine. But I think once you learn and see how others work, so I think that's going to be really helpful.
Wonderful. So moving to the research part, you have a thorough experience, and that is where you are continuing with along your teaching side as well. So tell us a little about your research projects. Which are the areas you're covering? How is it shaping up?
Yeah, thank you. So as an academic, so this is something we love to talk about. So thank you for asking that question. So broadly speaking, what I do is I'm interested in studying the interactions between waves and matter. So waves, they're kind of maybe of different kinds.
That's a very tough topic for me.
But waves, typically we have waves around us. So in general, what I do or what I look into more is electromagnetic waves. So those could be light waves. Those could be the waves that are sending signals to your phone via your Wi-Fi or the cellular tower. So that's broadly what I do. And interestingly, it has applications ranging from telecommunications, developing healthcare sensors, and interestingly, that might be relevant to you. So we also look into converting light into electricity. So that's
one of my favorite topics. So great, I got the whole physics class deja vu in that. So you talked about the solar cells. I'll pick up that. That's my favorite part of it. So in Pakistan, there's this one thing, and even in DSG Talks, all the questions that we get over the productions as well is that when is Pakistan going to produce? How is Pakistan going to produce solar energy? Why we are not creating our own solar cells? So can you tell us about any global development on that, and how is the future of solar cells and solar energy shaping up now, considering so many developments in research?
Yeah, I think so. Again, it's my perspective. So people may have some let's say reservations or arguments against that, but down the road, so if the solar industry is absolutely going to grow in the short term, and the way it's going to grow is, so we're going to see different types of materials that are being used to convert or which are actually making up these actual solar cells. The reason being, although sunlight is free, but we still require a lot of real estate just to convert a substantial amount of sunlight into electrical energy.
Definitely.
So anything that can reduce the footprint of the solar cells, that's something people are looking into. One of the things that people are actively looking into are different kind of materials. So people are moving on from typical semiconductor-based materials such as silicon. Although silicon is free and kind of easily available,
and not depreciating anytime soon.
Yeah, and that's the biggest advantage of silicon.
Yeah.
But on the other side, the performance that we receive from a silicon-based solar cell, it's at best it'll give you about 30% conversion rate. So anything that can boost up, bring it closer to 50%, that's going to be an absolute game changer in terms of solar cell research.
Right. So hoping that the new technology will come up soon and people will finally move from the archaic ways of electricity to finally the renewable ones with less carbon footprint and all. So lastly, I'll have my last question, that coming from your experience looking at Pakistan, having an exposure here and there as well, what will be your suggestion to shape up a better education system as well as research? I don't think so Pakistan is having much opportunities for researchers as well. Like, the developments have happened, but there are not much yet. So what can the government and the stakeholders do in this regard to have a better future of Pakistan?
Yeah, I think absolutely that's a fantastic question, and being in academia in University of Glasgow, what I've seen is that the types of problems that we try to solve, those are highly relevant to the economy of UK.
Yeah.
And that means that stakeholders are people from the industry. So they will have problems, they'll come with problems and share with us, and seek some collaborations with us, because they usually have let's say a shortfall of manpower in terms of research, and universities are kind of the best fields for that opportunity.
Yeah.
So I think in Pakistan, going down the road, so if we can have more involvement from people from the industry, which on their own they are thriving. This company is an absolute example of success. So I think it's time to kind of reinvest into our universities and even at school levels. So it's more about you hand them the problem, they'll have the skills to solve. And in the end, it's actually a success or a win-win situation for both of them. So you get your problem solved, from the university perspective, they solve the problem, so maybe they generate some knowledge out of that. That knowledge can be embedded into courses, it can be embedded into textbooks, it can be embedded into research papers. So it boosts up the profile of university. So it's kind of a win-win situation for everyone.
Exactly. I 100% agree on the fact. And on the research part, I was just giving it a thought that in generally Pakistan, this is not like a proper profession or something for people. There are very few research centers, and the people who do research have a hard time telling people that what is that they actually do. And consequently, they're like the underpaid segment of the society, and hence nobody goes for that.
That's true in a way, most of the world as well. That I mean, academia may not be a highly rewarding job in terms of money, but there are other aspects of working in academia which is probably esteem, and then interacting with students that are brilliant in terms of their minds.
And you're shaping up so many minds.
And then it's kind of, you know, you're putting an effort in terms of shaping the future. I mean, your students might actually become CEOs of companies and down the road. So it's kind of, you know, a long game.
Long game, yeah. So thank you so much for joining. It has been a wonderful talk. That's one of the topics I really enjoy. So thank you so much for your time.
It was a real pleasure. Thank you for having me.
Thank you. So for the people watching, the takeaway will be that there's a long way to go for the academia of Pakistan, but there's a way to look at the brighter side, that the research are happening, there are so many brilliant universities and students as well. So if you're in any stakeholder position, try to make an impact, try to find the problem in the society and work on a solution for that instead of just whining over the problem. So thank you so much for joining in. We'll be back with another episode very soon. Allah Hafiz.